Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joined today, first time in studio, not in the back of an ambulance, not in a station, not at his house. I don't know if actually we ever did a trial, but we are in studio today, not only with the EMS director, Patrick Anderson, but Mike Mancera, medical director for Fitch-Rona EMS, is here with us today too, which I'm so excited. It's nice to have both of you here and to put Patrick on the hot seat for a little while, so we'll be talking about a lot of great stuff today, and really our focus today is going to be on hands-only CPR. You got a couple of classes coming up, and it's good to get the medical director's perspective on this. I've heard you have the stats and everything that's out there, so I'm gonna hit you hard with some questions.
That's fine. Happy to be here.
First off, how dare no, Patrick? Nice. Let's talk about first. I don't know. I don't recall that we've ever had a class where we're focused on hands-only CPR, but training it to deaf and hard of hearing community.
You were correct. So we've, COVID kind of, as we shut the world down, we were doing about every other month, we were doing a hands-only CPR class in the city of Fitchburg, city of Rona, at their libraries, open to the public, about 10 to 12 people, and we actually got a pretty good turnout on those classes. As Dr. Mancera, I brought him in to kind of explain to you that Dane County just came out with their results, and Dane County is actually doing really good as far as our cardiac arrest survival rate, sudden cardiac arrest survival rate. Right? Patrick walking along, minding his own business, grabs his heart, and down he goes. The number one saver of those patients is bystander CPR, right? So general population recognizing something that's going on and just starting to do compressions. So Dane County has published those numbers. Fitch-Rona's got those numbers. We're actually doing really pretty good. So one of the conversations we had amongst ourselves is how can we make it better, right? How do we strive to do better? How do we increase that survival rate? And one of those ideas was, what populations are we missing? Right, so I know the populations that show up at the library. It's people with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night, so not really. But it's great that they take that opportunity. But what populations are we missing? One of the things that actually spurred this on is one of our new part-time paramedics actually has her bachelor's degree in sign language. So discussions with her of what do you think about having a class? So worked with her, reached out to the deaf interpreting services here in Dane County. They were actually able to get us an interpreter. So September 19th, 6 p.m., Fitchburg Public Library, we'll actually be hosting a hands-only CPR class for the lay public, but we'll actually have sign language interpreting available at that class.
It's incredible to think that we haven't done it before, but more importantly, to reach new audiences in different ways, and what is such a basic thing that can help go a long ways. And Doctor, I guess, explain to people why hands-on CPR. I always want to say CCR. It came back from that early age, so I'm fighting myself not to say that. But getting on the chest and starting pumping, why is that so important if you come across a patient like this?
Yeah, I think really the important thing to remember whenever we talk about cardiac arrest, so unfortunately is a fairly prevalent event that occurs throughout the United States. So this is a national level issue of cardiac arrest, and some of which have been very prominent in the news, in the sports world even. So we're very fortunate here in this area, this city, this county, to be very tied into very good medical care. Great hospital systems throughout our area, really well-trained and highly motivated EMS services as well, along with fire, first responders, police. So really, the system is really supporting good quality care for any patient, but specifically cardiac arrest patients. I think the important thing to remember really is this is also a community effort. So not only is it on the first responders, the EMS services, and the hospitals to provide good care, but if we can get that really early care to patients as quickly as possible and get someone to do CPR, so putting their hands on the chest, doing any sort of measures along those lines is really going to make a patient outcome difference in a positive way.
And Patrick, for SAVES, something that all of us want to be a part of and make sure that somebody can continue to live after something that happened to us. But Fitch-Rona has been fortunate in these events pretty good, like for bystanders stepping in or just helping out? Kind of a double-edged question here, but two different spectrums. But overall, when you're looking at saves in this type of sudden cardiac arrest, how is Fitch-Rona compared to the county, I guess, as far as the luck of the draw.
So I look as far as the county numbers go. We are pretty par with the county. So the numbers I pulled, we go on about 90 times a year we're paged out to a cardiac arrest.
90?
90. Yep, that was a little high for a number for me too. I went and double checked those. Now some of those things, those are calls we are called to a cardiac arrest. Yeah. They may not be a cardiac arrest. So we can take a handful of those and kind of like, somebody. We get a lot of infants choking on formula that not sure, so that's what it comes in as, and then we go to sometimes where they are obvious deaths, and some of those are known and planned. So 90 times a year, which I had to do that quick math in there. I'm like, that's 8 or so times a month. It's pretty significant. But of those 90, and I pulled the last 2 years worth of data, about 30 of those were actually ones where those patients actually survived that witnessed arrest. The majority of those, and here it is, 40% of those cardiac arrests were witnessed. 53% of them had bystander CPR, which to me is a phenomenal number, considering that 76% of our cardiac arrests actually happen in the home. Now, if a friend or family happens to be at home and starts that we consider that bystander CPR as well. But to get 53% of people who are aware of a cardiac arrest to start pushing on a chest is, I think we're doing something right. Whenever I teach CPR classes, I always start that class with saying, been in EMS since 1996, right? Really, really long time. I know, really long time. This year was the first year where I moved to my second hand of the number of people I can count who I have saved over all those years. So 6 people, right? So 6 people in a lot of years. One of those people actually had his cardiac arrest in the back of the ambulance, right? If all the places you're going to have it, good place to have it. Those other 5 people are walking around today all because they had bystander CPR and all had public access AED. And of those 5, they were all truly members of the public. It wasn't a first responder. It wasn't a police officer. It was somebody standing next to them who started pushing on a chest. And those 5 people are walking around because people got in, and all you got to do is push.
Right. And so, Dr. Mancera, when you're telling people, talking to EMS, talking to the public, talking to people, what should be that motivation to not be afraid to jump in and help out? What can you say? Because you get to see it from all levels, that you can do this.
I think that's the whole point. You can do this. It's simple, but I think there is that initial fear and fright of, hey, should I be doing this? Mm-hmm. What should I be doing? The good news is usually pick up the phone, call 911, get people coming towards you. They're going to also instruct you, hey, can you put this patient on the ground? Can you start pushing on the chest? So they kind of give you that reminder, which is usually helpful. And then to just not have that fear of really just getting on there and start pushing. And I think there's classes, there's resources that can help you do that in a more effective way, but not being afraid to do that early stuff, because it really does make a difference.
It certainly does. And one more time, Patrick, for people who want to get signed up for either of the classes coming up, or maybe just reach out and say, hey, can we start a class? Can they do that?
Sure, absolutely. So the 2 we have scheduled, September 19th, 6 p.m., Fitchburg Public Library. And sign language interpreting services available there. The other one, October 10th, we're trying to do it every other month, October 10th, 6 p.m., same place, Fitchburg Public Library. And that one, no sign language interpreting services there. The class lasts about an hour. It is very informal. There's no certification to it. Essentially, we pull out a bunch of mannequins. Most of the time, it's me standing up there talking, going, right, this is what we want to do, and start pushing on that chest. Here's how you use an AED. No fear, no pressure, nothing. Come on in. Both of those days we can get people in there, and so it's not a new thing on the off chance you ever have to do it. We also do some private classes as well. That's all that information, that Fitch-Rona-EMS.com, that website is there. We do some organized classes for businesses. Those do have a fee to them because they're a little bit more organized than just kind of the drop-in sessions at the library. But please come out.
I think it's good to know the spectrum, right? Like you can get the base, start with
Absolutely.
The basics, and if you have more interest, certainly encourage everybody to get involved in learning CPR and how to use an AED. And something that we always talk about in a lot of the interviews is training. And that, a medical director for a lot of reasons is looking at a lot of data and training, but learn it once, learn it twice, keep practicing. it's so important. So
absolutely. The last class we just did actually for the senior center here, we had 12 seniors show up here at City Hall at the community center. We did their feedback, and one of them, we talked about feedback, AEDs that provide feedback and how hard you push and how fast you're pushing. And one of them made the comment, I said, we can upload that data into our reports. And they said, what do you get, a report card? And I said, of actually all the things, yes, we do. Right? Of all of the EMS calls that we do, we actually get a report card. Eric Anderson, who works at the county, he's actually one of our LTs as well. Every cardiac arrest we do, we get a report card that gets shared with police and fire. Did we push hard enough? Did we push fast enough? Did we stay on the chest and looks at those patient outcomes? So such an important thing that the public can be such an integral part of.
oh my gosh, if you submit report cards afterwards,
Right.
woo, it would be more of a thank you letter, I think, for sure. All right, well, thank you for coming out, Patrick. As always, thank you for your time. Get it, sign up on those classes. Go to the website, fitchrowi.gov. It's on the libraries page. It's on the Fitch-Rona page. It's on social media, and we'll see you out there on the 19th. I want to make sure I say 19th of September.
Yep.
We'll be there.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.